Hi folks, Rich here. Good to meet you. So, Windows 11 is here and, well, we're working with audio software, so how do we optimize it for this? Well, I'm going to go through some steps with you today that hopefully will get you to a point where your operating system is at its leanest and meanest that it possibly can be, whilst also taking into consideration that the steps that I'm going to give you should be accessible for most users to follow along with. We're going to be using Windows 11 today, but this will apply to Windows 10 too. So for those of you that are staying on Windows 10 for the moment, you can follow along too. Some of the steps will look a little bit different, but essentially they're all the same. So let's have a look at Windows. Okay, so we're looking at the Windows 11 desktop. And yes, it looks very different to Windows 10. For starters, you're going to see the icons in the center of the taskbar rather than at the left. If we were to right click on the taskbar, we can make some changes here, such as taskbar behaviors, the alignment. We can automatically hide the taskbar, the same as we can in Windows 10. And of course, we now have the option to align the taskbar to the traditional left or to the center. In relation to Task Manager, in the past, of course, we have been able to right-click on there and access it. In Windows 11, we'll go to the Windows button, we'll right-click there, scroll through the options, and just around about center, we can see the Task Manager. So we can click on that. And we'll be looking initially at the Startup tab. You'll usually see from left to right, Processes, Performance, App History, and then Startup. In this Startup option, we have the ability to disable or enable applications that start when Windows does. For the most part, many of these will be enabled. What I'd recommend doing is selecting the apps that are crucial to your workflow, leaving them enabled, and then for unnecessary apps, in my case, I have the Amazon device installed. I'm going to right-click on there and select Disable. You can do this now for a number of applications that you have installed. The important thing to bear in mind here is that by disabling them at startup, it does not install them, and you can continue using them in the same way that you always have done. Okay, so not all of us are super technical. To make this as accessible as possible, I'm going to provide two links in the description to software provided by O&O Software. The first one is O&O AppBuster. The second one that we're going to look at is O&O Shutup 10++, which is a free anti-spy tool for Windows 10 and 11. Click on the green download button, download both pieces of software, and we'll get them ready. Okay, so once these are downloaded, I'd highly recommend placing them on your desktop. The first thing that we're going to look at is the O&O AppBuster. We can double click on that to open. So once O&O AppBuster is installed, you're going to see a window that looks like this. The first column is the name, and this gives us the list of available applications installed on the computer. See the status column, which tells us that the applications are installed, as well as the availability to the user and the storage that they take up. We'll do something simple initially so that we can demonstrate how this works. I use Adobe Photoshop. So at this point, Microsoft Paint is redundant to me. So I'll check that, and then I will select Remove. I'll be presented with a dialog box that gives me three options to remove the apps for the current user, all users, or the machine. I use two logins, one for administrator and one for user. So at this point, I'm going to select all users. I'll select OK, and then I'll be given the option again to create a restore point, should I want to. Of course, it's strongly recommended, so I'll select yes. Once the uninstallation process has been completed, it will give us a friendly message telling so. Select Close, and the list of available applications will update. If you ever find yourself in a position where you've uninstalled something and you want to get this back, go to the status and select the filter. If you find something, like in this instance, Microsoft Pay is available to the machine but not to the user, like we did before, let's just check it and click install. We can then press OK, and of course it will ask us if we want to create a restore point again. At each step it's advisable to do so. Once the installation has been finished successfully, you can click close and the application will be available to you again. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to be dealing with on the desktop is the O&O Shutup software. It's really important here that you follow the steps. Okay, so once you've got O&O Shutup 10 ++ open, the only thing that you really need to do here is look at the Actions drop down and select the Apply Only Recommended Settings. Click that, and again you'll be asked to create a system restore point. We'll select Yes. And when the system restore point has been created, all of the changes that need to be made will be made. And you can certainly go through all of the different options here to check that there isn't something that you need enabled, disabled. Once you've checked this, select File and then Exit. Again, like before, it's reminding us that when Windows does update, that some of these changes might be reverted. And of course, you can run O&O Shutup 10 ++ anew. Okay, so there might be a time when you need to update your drivers. Maybe you've got an email or somebody's recommended this to you, and you're not really sure how to do this. Well, there are two ways, and I'm going to go through each of the two ways just now. Like we did before, we're going to click on the search icon, and we're going to search for Control Panel. We can click on this and open it up. We need to go to Device Manager, open that up. For the moment, we can close the control panel as we don't need to see it. And then we could search for our audio interface. There are a number of icons at the top here. You'll see one that looks like a little box with a green arrow pointing upwards. If you hover over it, it will say Update Device Driver. So we'll click on that, and then it will tell us, do we want to search for drivers online, or do we want to browse for drivers on the computer? What we'll do initially is search automatically for drivers, and you should be getting a message that says the best drivers for your device are already installed. If that's the case, you can close out and hopefully continue as normal. Of course, when you do update drivers, it's always recommended that you restart the computer before you carry on. If you're needing to download drivers from the web, you can navigate to your manufacturer's website. They should have a support page which gives you access to downloads. So in my case, I'm using the Focusrite 2i2. I've selected from the drop-down the 2i2 2nd Gen, which is the particular device that I'm using. And of course, if you want to, you can filter that even more down to the specific device. Immediately, you'll be given the USB driver information. So in this instance, it's version 4.65.5. And I can download the driver as well as any applicable release notes. If you're a PreSonus user and your interface is made by PreSonus, head to the PreSonus website, select Support, and then Downloads. If you're using an interface, you'd select Interfaces. Once you select Interfaces, select the device that's applicable to you. In this instance, we'll select AudioBox USB 96. You'll be presented with a very nice image and also a number of applicable links. An overview, images, features, tech specs, downloads and reviews. And of course, buy now if you don't have it. We'll focus on downloads, and we'll be given the option to select the operating system. So of course, for Mac users, you would select the one that's applicable to you. And in this instance, Windows 11 users, I'd recommend selecting Windows 10 64-bit unless Windows 11 is available. We'll click that link, and then we can simply download now. And this will install Universal Control. We'll click the link, and the installer should download for you. Install, restart your computer, and you'll be back up and running again. Okay, so with all of those steps out of the way, and I hope that they'll be nice and easy for you folks to follow along with, I'm just going to go through the defragmentation process for people that start using hard drives. It's fairly simple to do, and I'd hope that most of you already know these steps. But those of us that use SSD drives, this isn't something that we need to be overly concerned about. The last thing I'd probably recommend, though, at the end of all of this, is keeping on top of things. There's a really useful program out there called CCleaner. It does give you the option to use this for free, of course with some limitations. They do, as many companies do, offer a subscription service to give you access to some of the pro features. But let's just jump back into Windows 11 for one last time so that we can look at defragmentation and keeping our drives clean. So we're on the home stretch here. If we select any of the drives here, we'll select H here, right click, and from the drop down select Properties, which is second from the bottom. We'll get this window presented. Now, pay attention to the letter that we're looking at here. This is the contact drive under the letter H. Go to Tools. Let's check the health first of all. We'll scan the drive. And the drive was successfully scanned. We can close that, and then we can optimize and defragment the drive. So let's click Optimize. Pay careful attention here. We're looking at this drive here, which is labeled Contact with the letter H. If we look at this here, you can see that Contact H is actually a solid state drive. We don't need to defragment this. But what we could do is we could look at one of the backup drives. These are hard disk drives. You can analyze it initially, and it will go through that process for you. This part is actually usually pretty quick, and even for larger hard drives, the process shouldn't take more than a few minutes. In this instance, it was actually fairly quick. You can then select Optimize, and this process usually does take a little bit longer. But providing that the disk has been defragmented on a regular basis, it'll be that much quicker. And as we can see, there is 0% fragmented, so it doesn't need to take any actions. But should it need to, it will advise so. Once we've done that, we can select Close. And that's your defragmenting of drives. So with all of that out of the way, hopefully you'll have a lean, mean audio making machine. If you enjoyed this, or even if it helped in some way, small or large, pop a comment, like the video, and most importantly, keep enjoying making music. I'll see you soon. Yeah, and before I go, remember to keep your gear clean.